Did everything that happened in the first 10 years of Marvel in the Infinity Saga have a point? Did it have a purpose? Was there free will involved in every choice across every movie we watched? Or was it all predetermined? We are about to go deep into the wormhole and discuss it. Welcome, everybody. Jimmy or Chaos here. Here is your spoiler alert, because it's hard to talk about anything Marvel now that Loki is finished without a spoiler alert. If you have not caught up on the Loki Disney Plus series, you might want to click off this video because it directly connects with looking back at the Infinity Saga and wondering what was the point. There weren't really any choices that could have been different than what they were. It's an expanding theory that's going on, and we are going to talk about it. Thank you, everybody who has subscribed to the channel and turned on all those notifications and come along for the ride on the Chaos Multiverse. I truly, truly appreciate everybody, and I love reading the comments. So, let's talk about this. Loki, we already know. It has established things that we didn't know about before this. The Time Variance Authority, the TVA. We didn't know that. We didn't even know technically that there was a sacred timeline. And we didn't know that everybody had a predetermined path on that sacred timeline. And it was all governed and ruled by He Who Remains, who is not to be confused with Kang the Conqueror. I don't know why, but on my Facebook page, there are people that are still arguing with me that that was Kang the Conqueror. It was not. That was He Who Remains, otherwise known as Immortus, the oldest, wisest, I guess you could say nicest version of Kang. Yes, there is a variant Kang the Conqueror. There are multiple variants of Kang that we'll talk about in the future, but this one was not Kang the Conqueror. We probably won't see him in form until Ant-Man Quantumania. But anyway, let's get back to what we're talking about. I digress. He Who Remains, well, he governed everything. He created the TVA after he used Goliath to take out the multiversal war and defeat all the other Kang variants, and he was the one in charge. Technically, according to him, he's the only one that had free will. We even have that quote from Ravonna Renslayer saying the only one that has free will is at the top, and then she was going to go search for free will at the very end of the season finale. Okay, we can kind of let all that bake and soak and permeate in our brains, but then it all gets turned on its head immediately, because if there's no free will and there was a predetermined timeline, and if you did everything you were supposed to in said timeline, everything was okay. But if you deviated from that timeline and you created a Nexus event, you got pruned. Well, the first 10 years of the Infinity Saga, we didn't see anybody get pruned. Thanos didn't get pruned when he did what he did and snapped half of existence. So it was predetermined by He Who Remains that that was what was supposed to happen. Because if it wasn't, he simply would have pruned Thanos, right? Okay, so on Twitter, Matthew Federman, the Blood and Treasure executive producer, he posted a Twitter poll. And he said, part 2 of it was, or did Kang just preserve one timeline, but the actions within it had free will, unless they created a branching timeline at first? I thought it was saying the former, but now I think it's the latter. Maybe that's because I'm not a fan of determinism. What say you? And they got a few votes, 101 votes, and the majority was mostly free will. But then along comes Loki's Disney Plus staff writer, Eric Martin, and he replies to the tweet and shatters everybody's perspective by saying, no free will. Now, he later went on to give clarification on his 3-word post, and he said, if Kang was telling the truth, everybody does the thing they're supposed to do on the timeline, which we talked about, right? If you don't, you get pruned. Okay, well, let's back up and let's assume that is truth right now in the MCU. That means nothing was really ever gonna happen except for how it happened in the Infinity Saga. 1 out of 14 million scenarios that Iron Man sacrifices himself to save humanity, not just humanity, save the entire universe from Thanos. Spoiler alert, sorry if you haven't seen Endgame, well, that's kind of your bad at this time. So if that's the case, it really gives you a different perspective when you're looking back at the Infinity Saga. Not only that, it really blows things just way out of proportion with what's moving forward, because technically Sylvie shattered all that. Sylvie brought back free will, at least for a moment, when she shattered all the timelines. Now, it did reset the time order, and it brought in a new Kang variant that is now in charge of the TVA. We are assuming that's Kang the Conqueror. We don't know that. That's where things get murky, because we don't really know, because there have been examples of free will throughout the Loki series. There has. It's like the timeline, or He Who Remains, or whichever Kang variant is in charge. They pick and choose which random instance that they feel is a Nexus event, and then they prune. Because let's go back. Let's talk about Loki's trip to all the apocalypses. When they went to Pompeii, or when Sylvie was hiding out in all these major apocalypses, and even classic Loki. He spent a ton of time alone, and there was no Nexus event, no purge, until he actually got kind of sad and lonely and went to see Thor. At that moment, he got purged. So we don't know exactly why He Who Remains purged for certain things, or what his kind of chart was for determining what was a Nexus event that wasn't supposed to happen. We really don't even understand what is supposed to happen, versus he's looking at the sacred timeline and he says, that's supposed to happen, that's supposed to happen, that's supposed to happen. Iron Man is supposed to take that nuke all the way up and save New York, or he's not. He didn't go up fast enough. He gets pruned. We don't know what his circumstances are on how he picks and chooses, which we may never know. That may be the fun of all the theories and speculation. But it is interesting to look back at the Infinity Saga now with a lens that says there was no free will. It's probably going to piss some people off, to be honest with you. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Man, the Loki series opened up the wormhole. It opened up the Multiverse of Madness. It opened up so many things to discuss. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, check out the videos on the screen. I believe we've got some Spider-Man time travel suit action going on, and we have some clarification on the Abomination coming back to the MCU. I'll see you soon.